Demetrius is in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello there.
Hey
Demetrius.
guys, can you hear me?
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm not saying we should restrict human growth necessarily, but I am of the opinion that overpopulation is a big problem.
What's the biggest part
Now, I
of
haven't been listening to the show.
Okay, what's the biggest
I'm sorry, go ahead.
problem with the overpopulation in your mind?
Limited resources,
Just
food, water, energy. I mean,
is it
lots
food,
of
water,
people,
or
when they
energy?
talk about overpopulation, they try to carry the conversation over to space and how much space we have. And that's true, we have lots of space. We don't have a lot of resources.
Which one is it, food, water, or energy, do you think is the biggest problem?
Probably energy.
Okay. Now,
At
don't you
this
think that
point.
we're having innovations are going on all the time, and that need drives innovation as opposed to, just kind of fantastic ideas, right? Like people need something. That's the necessity is the mother of invention. I've heard it said. So
I agree.
if we need new sources of energy, we probably will get new sources of energy, right?
Well, we really need a breakthrough in either food production, recycling, or some kind of new form of energy.
We make enough food on this
until
planet.
that happens,
We make enough food on this planet to feed everybody. It's just
we do for now.
But it's the allocation of that food, usually having to do with governments restricting the allocation of food. That's the problem.
By the way, I'd like to just throw
I'm
in
not
here.
saying a little more freedom wouldn't help, but I mean the way things are now, it's not going too well. I mean we're running out of fresh water, food. I mean even in the United States, we've got states, and we're supposed to be like the best country,
Demetrius,
America.
keep in mind there's no shortage of water out there. The problem is that governments are in
Well,
charge
right.
of
But lots of
delivering
water. We
and
need fresh water.
Governments are in
Right.
charge of finding and delivering water to people in most places. It's governments who handle that, and they do a very poor job of it, rather than having the economic incentive to develop new means of desalination or to go and find new areas, springs and things like that. They just decide, well, we're going to put down restrictions on when you can use the water that we are already giving you. It's the backwards view on how to do business.
Don't forget, most of the water problems we have is based on sort of this cultural norm we have of growing, being grass farmers, growing in our front lawn this worthless stuff that does nothing. And if there were, if companies allocated water rather than governments, if organizations like businesses as opposed to organizations like government allocated water, you wouldn't see the problem.
A couple more points I'd like to
I'm
make.
not saying
Go ahead.
competition would make things a little bit better, probably. But it doesn't change the fact that right now, even in the United States, we're having water problems. And we're supposed to,
Well, I'm not having a water problem.
We're supposed to have everything we
I've got
need.
all the water I need. The problem is that people...
You do in New Hampshire with your well.
Yes, I do.
People elsewhere don't.
But that's really the
It's not the
problem.
water's
Is that
problem.
governments get involved they get in the way, and now there's a bunch of people living where they shouldn't be, in deserts in California and Nevada and stuff like that, and they expect water. That water has to be taken away from people who, have it in their region. So you've got these population centers in arid climates, and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, New Orleans had plenty of
Well,
water
do you
recently.
think the planet can support just as many people as we can produce eventually?
I don't know.
think that.
Okay, so obviously the answer to that is no. So now we are on an equal playing field. No, it cannot produce sustain 10 times the population we have currently. But what we've been finding is that as people move from rural areas and agricultural lifestyles into urban areas and sort of worker lifestyles, they have fewer children because children become a liability in that situation rather than an asset, right?
Right.
So as the planet, just as the United States moved from agrarian to urban and suburban, as the planet moves this way with advances in farming technology, and one guy can grow a lot more than he used to, and you will find that families aren't going to have these all these kids like they did before. And if I humbly suggest the government get the hell out of welfare and handing out money and incentivizing people to have children financially, and then you will find that you let the population continue to urbanize and you stop incentivizing births, and then you've got your problem solved.
Okay, but wait a minute, Mark. I have to say that I think that the world could hold 10 times the population. You said that it couldn't. We haven't even talked about vertical farming, right? I mean, the old method of farming involves spreading out the farm over a flat surface, over a long direction, and a couple different directions, and they don't usually factor in vertical, upwards, the up and down axis. And that opens up a whole
lab-grown
new
meat's coming too.
That opens up a whole new world of possibility for yield per cubic foot, basically, that doesn't exist today. You factor in, the fact there's plenty of damn water around. There's just the whole desalination thing that needs to get solved there. And then energy. Of course, the history of mankind has been learning about and tapping into new forms of energy. They've always been there. We just now discover, oh wow, you can turn that black stuff that used to pollute farmland into burnable, useful material. How about that? Of course, one of the classic examples is oil used to be a pollutant and a nuisance, and then eventually it became called black gold because it was so valuable for energy purposes once people figured out what the hell do you do with that stuff. And so we'll figure out more of that, more of those revelations about energy. We'll, make those discoveries, and I don't think we'll have a problem with any of those things, energy, food, or water, personally. But Johnny Ray, you've sort of been absorbing all this.
I was just thinking about what you said about this vertical farming, and I see a big problem there, which is the shade. The farming is done under the sun, and if you start stacking stuff on top of you start stacking fields on top of each other, this is not the easy solution that you make it out to be.
I'm not saying it would be an easy solution.
Everybody's going to drink Soylent. Have you heard of this new stuff? It's got all your nutritional, needs in it.
Didn't they make a movie about that?
Yeah. They made a movie about this product that just came out in 1970. You dullard. No, this is a new product named after the movie.
Which wasn't that People?
It's not People. I swear, it's not People.
But wasn't that? I've never seen the movie. I just always heard
the only
line.
You know.
Right.
Yes. Soylent Green was People. This is not Soylent Green.
It's just Soylent.
It's Soylent.
Okay.
And it's just a product.
So they took the people out of it.
Yeah, it's a nutritional product that you no longer have to eat food. You can have this stuff. It's much more efficient,
isn't it?
It's much more efficient than any other, way of feeding people.
Every citizen's final duty is to go to the recycling tanks.
Demetrius, any final thoughts? Go ahead.
I mean, give me once we have some, I'll be right there with you. But
once we have some
like the show, been listening
once we have some what?
Sorry, once we have some what?
Once we get a breakthrough going somewhere, either energy, get water from salt water, or
we can do all those things.
More food production. I think we'll be okay.
Anything's possible if you put your mind to it, Demetrius. Thanks for the call. Maybe not you, but the people who are interested in finding out how to do all those things, they'll figure it out.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.